Being born and raised in the Appalachian Mountains, I've experienced a lot of unexplainable things, and I'm not the only one. Today I'm going to be sharing a story with you that a follower sent to my email.
It sounds to me like the rules of the Appalachian Mountain is the same rules that we have in Haiti. And of course we have in Haiti, the SW.
I don't scare easily, but I'll need a new pair of shorts after this one.
Spoil me, spoil me, spoil me. Everything wants to spoil me. It comes times 11, so lucky like 7, receiving my blessings enjoyably. I'm open to it and I'm ready. My mind and my energy steady. Receiving the flood of the blessings that come in like water, the flow is so heavy. Spoil me, spoil me, spoil me.
I have a story time. This story actually just happened on January 24th of this year. So yes, they're still very much active and this is still very much going on. The person who submitted this, so it's not I'm going to use her real name, so we're going to call her Lisa. Lisa lives in a small town east of Tennessee, so yes, the Appalachian Mountains. So one night, Lisa is hanging out at her friend's house. It's her friend Mike, his girlfriend, who we'll just call girlfriend, and Lisa. As they're hanging out, they starts to hear what sounds like a really heavy metal object being dragged across the driveway. Lisa remembers that she forgot to lock her car, so she quickly grabs her keys and hits the lock button. She then decides to look out the window to see if she can see anything, but there's no one there. She then sees as this truck approaches the house, and as it gets near the front of the house, it swerves completely out of the way as if trying to avoid hitting something. Lisa then decides that she's gonna go out in the balcony to see if she can get a better look. She's thinking that maybe a part of someone's car fell off. Maybe that's the reason why it was like a metal rubbing against the pavement. Mike's girlfriend follows right behind her and stands behind Lisa. The girlfriend goes, "Do you see anything?" Lisa responds with, "Not yet." So then the girlfriend goes, "Well, let's just go back inside then." As Lisa's getting ready to go right back in the house, she hears the girlfriend yelling her name, but it sounded far away. Thinking that maybe the girlfriend already made it all the way back in the house, she goes to quickly turn around, but runs right into the girlfriend. Turns out the girlfriend never went in, she was actually standing right behind her. With a shocked look, the girlfriend goes, "Someone just said your name. Run." Both girls run back into the house. Lisa was paralyzed with fear, like she was terrified. She crawled across the living room floor just crying as she's trying to explain to her friend Mike what just happened. All three of them decide to run into one of the bedrooms and grab a bat for protection just in case there's someone out there trying to harm them. As they're in the bedroom, they start to hear what sounds like someone screaming for help right outside, but it was almost as if it was coming from a bunch of different directions. They couldn't figure out where the screaming was coming from. But whenever they would look outside the window, outside was completely silent. They could only hear when they were inside the house. Lisa decided to stay inside Mike's house until she can get a hold of one of her family members who could come with a large flashlight and a weapon to help her walk to her car. The female voice she heard sounded exactly like Mike's girlfriend's voice. The voice made her feel like she needed to go to it. It was almost like she was being lured outside of the house. It wasn't until she ran right into the girlfriend that she realized that she was in trouble.
You know that joke in the Appalachian Mountains, if you hear your name? No, you didn't. I have a theory. The Appalachian Mountains are known to be exceptionally creepy. So there's this interactive map on dinosaurpictures.org where you can enter your address and a time period to see what your area looked like during different stages of tectonic movement. Here's where I grew up, northern New Hampshire. Now, when the continents were all crammed together about 200 million years ago, and this was Pangaea, the Appalachian Mountains are there. And even before Pangaea, at about 400 million years ago, it's still there. Now let's go as far back as we can, 750 million years ago, before multi-celled organisms even appear. Boom! My town is there. The rest of the planet, by the way, is water. There are various points in time where this is kind of underwater, but let's just say for funskies that the Appalachians, which is this area kind of, are so creepy because there legitimately are things in this land that just never left. It's just a fun theory, people in the Appalachians love to have them, but what if they've seen things?
The Appalachian Mountains. If you even stay in those mountains, you would either hear knocks or whistles. And the whole thing is like, if you even knock or whistle back, like you'll allow that spirit to with you. So there's one guy, and he already has 20 million views on his video. I'll show you it after. But he went to the Appalachian Mountains for work. And he's just videoing with his friends, and he sees something crazy. I'll just show you the video, and let's see if you see it.
Yeah.
But it's trending right now. Hold on. 6 days ago, watch.
Femme, j'espère que vous allez bien, moi ça par la grâce de Dieu. Je suis comme ça en train d'aller à l'école. Mais je pense que le professeur ne va pas venir aujourd'hui. Donc je retourne à la maison. Je pars à l'école, c'est bon. On ne retourne pas.
You saw that face?
Yeah.
Today I'm going to tell you another Appalachian story, but this one isn't mine. It was one I got sent to my email. Growing up, we had a family cabin nestled in the Appalachian Mountains, and our grandparents taught us things like, don't look in the trees, or if you hear your name, no you didn't. When I was about 12 years old, my brother, my cousin, and I would all go playing in the woods. Near our cabin were some rock formations with a natural spring that ran through it. Our grandparents would give us a walkie-talkie so we could stay in touch while out playing. And the walkie-talkie thing, that's something my parents did too. But anyway, one of the rock formations kind of looked like Pride Rock from The Lion King. We often played on top of it in an attempt to recreate scenes from the movie. I remember all three of us sitting on top of the rock, and my brother saying he thought he saw something. He was a big prankster, so my cousin and I kind of just blew it off. Underneath of the rock was the natural spring. My cousin and I went to go see if we could find any fish, while my brother stayed on top of the rock. While we were down there searching, he had yelled that there was something coming towards us. I tried to just ignore him, but out of my peripherals, I saw a figure. I still can't really explain what it looked like, but it was dark and it appeared to be wearing a cloak. I blinked and it was gone. Not even a few moments later, I heard my name, but it was so faint and it went away so quickly as if it was riding in the breeze. I turned to my cousin and her eyes were wide. I asked if she had just heard that too. She said she had heard someone say her name, but it was in the distance. We quickly left the stream to find my brother, and he came running down the side of Pride Rock, shouting that he had heard his name being called too. My cousin grabbed the walkie-talkie from me and asked my grandparents if they had been looking for us. They told us no and asked why, so my cousin told them what happened. They told us to get back to the cabin as quickly as possible without causing a commotion. I remember finding the trail and heading back, but the whole time, it sounded like something was following us. For the remainder of the trip, I had a sense of unease as if something was watching us. If you have a story you want me to share on my TikTok, don't forget to send it to allyshaysworld@gmail.com.
I don't know what to do because I'm really scared I'm gonna pass out, but I see a road below me that I've been able to hear for a while, and I'm thinking about going to the road, but I also don't want to get off the trail in case I pass out because I want them to find me. I really don't feel good. Oh, and I've been alone for a long time.
Once I get to the other side of this bridge, that'll be the entire trail. I'll be done. That grass area, that's where I got dropped off after I had Lyme disease and started hiking north towards Katahdin. That way goes to Georgia. So yeah, that's the end. The end.
Being born and raised in the Appalachian Mountains, I've experienced a lot of unexplainable things, and I'm not the only one. Today I'm going to be sharing a story with you that a follower sent to my email. I moved to Pennsylvania right after turning 15. Before that, I lived on the West Coast, so I had no knowledge of what happened in the Appalachian Mountains. Nothing about those rules like closing your curtains at night or not responding to your name being called when nobody's around. In our house, we had a crawl space on the second floor. I had claimed the bedroom with the door to the crawl space. And once summer started next year, I started hearing scratching coming from inside of the crawl space. I thought it was a squirrel, but my dad couldn't find anything inside. The scratching continued, but I ignored it. At some point, I thought I could hear my name being called from behind the door. Now, my parents were very religious. I was taught that if I heard my name being called, it was the Holy Ghost trying to tell me something or trying to comfort me. I said a silent prayer to myself when I heard my name being called in that house. I think I had really just got lucky and I had moved out of that bedroom and into a different bedroom without the crawl space after my sister had left for college and I got to move into her room. I had another experience in that house soon after I turned 18. I was packing up my bags, getting ready to move away from college, and I had a lot of anxiety because of that. Something that helped me was getting fresh air. It was already nighttime, but I stepped out on the back porch to get some fresh air. The moon was really bright that night, and I could see most of the yard very well. It was a large yard, roughly 6 acres, with a creek and a wooded area to one side, a hill and a wooded area on the opposite side of the creek, and behind a small pond in the back of the yard was the road. I knew this area had animals that were out and about, especially late at night, so I took a look around to see if I could spot a fox or a deer. At the road, I could see what looked like 2 glowing eyes attached to some figure. It looked like a deer, but it was staring at me, and the porch light was on, so it was very clearly lit. I thought it was kind of cool until it started getting closer. The yard was massive, and there was a rough 3 to 4 acres of land between the road and the house. This thing was moving fast and moving very intently. It got over the guardrail and was making a straight line towards me. Even with the moonlight, I couldn't really make out what it was, but at that moment, I thought it was like a wolf or something. I ran inside, locked the doors, turned out the light, and ran into my bedroom. I spent the rest of the night underneath my blankets and muttering prayers to myself. In the morning, I told my dad about the animal I had saw outside last night, and he had only found some scratches on the wood on the porch.
The following footage comes from a family who noticed these holes in their garage door, so they decided to look at the footage from the night before. And what they captured was truly terrifying. What looks like a humanoid, unidentified creature was trying to break through their garage door. But the interesting question is, what is this? It actually looks like it has the animal eye shine. Take a look at this footage and tell me what you think this could have been.
Being born and raised in the Appalachian Mountains, I've experienced a lot of unexplainable things, and I'm not the only one. Today I'm going to be sharing a story with you that a follower sent to my email. I moved to Pennsylvania right after turning 15. Before that, I lived on the West Coast, so I had no knowledge of what happened in the Appalachian Mountains. Nothing about those rules like closing your curtains at night or not responding to your name being called when nobody's around. In our house, we had a crawl space on the 2nd floor. I had claimed the bedroom with the door to the crawl space. And once summer started next year, I started hearing scratching coming from inside of the crawl space. I thought it was a squirrel, but my dad couldn't find anything inside. The scratching continued, but I ignored it. At some point, I thought I could hear my name being called from behind the door. Now, my parents were very religious. I was taught that if I heard my name being called, it was the Holy Ghost trying to tell me something or trying to comfort me. I said a silent prayer to myself when I heard my name being called in that house. I think I had really just got lucky and I had moved out of that bedroom and into a different bedroom without the crawl space after my sister had left for college and I got to move into her room. I had another experience in that house soon after I turned 18. I was packing up my bags, getting ready to move away from college, and I had a lot of anxiety because of that. Something that helped me was getting fresh air. It was already nighttime, but I stepped out on the back porch to get some fresh air. The moon was really bright that night, and I could see most of the yard very well. It was a large yard, roughly 6 acres, with a creek and a wooded area to one side, a hill and a wooded area on the opposite side of the creek, and behind a small pond in the back of the yard was the road. I knew this area had animals that were out and about, especially late at night, so I took a look around to see if I could spot a fox or a deer. At the road, I could see what looked like 2 glowing eyes attached to some figure. It looked like a deer, but it was staring at me, and the porch light was on, so it was very clearly lit. I thought it was kind of cool until it started getting closer. The yard was massive, and there was a rough 3 to 4 acres of land between the road and the house. This thing was moving fast and moving very intently. It got over the guardrail and was making a straight line towards me. Even with the moonlight, I couldn't really make out what it was, but at that moment, I thought it was like a wolf or something. I ran inside, walked the doors, turned out the light, and ran into my bedroom. I spent the rest of the night underneath my blankets and muttering prayers to myself. In the morning, I told my dad about the animal I saw outside last night, and he had only found some scratches on the wood on the porch.
The dogs are ready for bed. It's just a peaceful night here. Getting ready to go to bed myself. What the fuck is that? What? Oh, God! Fuck! It's outside.
Look at these two dogs. They can sense the Lugawu. Lugawu gone.
What the fuck?
Lugawu gone.
Too scared to open my door.
Come here. Come here. Come here.
Come here.
Come here. Come here. I told you. Come here.
You better not go back.
The reason I had to move out of my flat.
Somebody's hand.
I was home alone.
You home with a Lugawu. Lugawu looking at you straight in your eyes. And you just there filming. Welcome back to the Lugawu series, y'all boys. I told y'all yesterday I was coming back with some freaky stuff today. I present to y'all the Appalachian Mountains. You thought the last video was crazy. This is part 1. I'm going to drop part 2 tomorrow. But like I told you, if you hear somebody calling your name, don't answer. Them Lugaws will get you. Y'all over here filming. Oh, there's a shadow that come out your kitchen. Let me film it. If you don't move, real talk, that would have been the first and last day. If that happened on my first day, that would have been my last day there. If that happened on my second day, that would have been my second and last day in the house. I don't care if I got to break a lease. I'd rather break a lease than die. And then get eaten alive by some Lugaws.
And this is what I'm talking about right here. I don't know how to tell y'all this, but black people actually live in the Appalachian Mountains. We actually have lives here. We're actually in community with each other here. We have history here. Our families have been here for generations. So I don't know why y'all are lending to the white supremacist erasure with these kind of, I really don't get it. I don't know what difference it makes. Like I said, the harm was already done.
And you stupid content creators. Everyone's been talking about how people go missing in the Great Smoky.
Hey, bestie. Another person who grew up in rural Appalachia here. And I don't know if you're outside the Cherokee or the Pisgah or what national forest you're outside of, but I grew up outside the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Let me show you. Okay, that red dot right there is Spence Field, where Dennis Martin went missing. There's Cades Cove, and I grew up right here in Townsend. Right about there. And I don't consider myself a content creator, but I did go to lots of old timers days, and they all talk about it. My father was a park ranger during the Dennis Martin search, and my grandfather was the mayor of Townsend. And they all said that there was something going on that they weren't telling us. And all the old timers said there's people out in the woods that'll get you, is what they would say. They'll go out in the woods, they'll get you. So, sorry, bestie.
Why is it everyone's nightly routine to close their blinds when living in the Appalachian Mountains? It's because when you think of the Appalachian Mountains, you think of skinwalkers. The skinwalker is a harmful witch that is able to use the hide of an animal that they've unalived and transform into it. There's also tons of screaming that happen in the Appalachian Mountains at night, which sounds crazy, I know. Some people think it's coyotes, other people think it's skinwalkers. But Chris, why would a skinwalker be screaming in the woods? Because they want to lure you there. That's what they do. They're able to mask their voice, trying to sound like somebody you may know, luring you into the woods to pretend that they're hurt. Sometimes they even act like a stranger. You'll just be driving down down the road and all of a sudden hear someone yell for help. You get out of your car to help, and then you're cooked. Now, if I lived in the Appalachian Mountains, I'd be closing the blinds during the day, not just at night. But for sure, especially at night, because imagine looking out your window and seeing something that you shouldn't. Now, yes, saying the term skinwalker of course brings them closer to you, but imagine seeing something that you're not supposed to and then it comes to your window. There's stories online of people discussing that they went camping in the Appalachian Mountains in a cabin and all of a sudden some random person came to their door, but they weren't a person. Me personally, the Appalachian Mountains are completely off my list, but that's why everyone who lives in the Appalachian Mountains closes and locks all of their windows and doors at night.
Have you ever heard of something called the knot deer? Because that's what we're talking about tonight. The knot deer is a cryptid, we'll call it, because I don't know what else to call it, that supposedly lives mainly in Appalachia. So anywhere where the Appalachian Mountains are, that's its home. It's a creature that looks like a deer from far away, but the closer you get to it, the more things that you start to see wrong with it. That can be multiple antlers, eyes in the front of its head instead of the side of its head, limbs that bend the wrong way, and sometimes deer that walk on hind legs. Now, there are deer that get up on their hind legs so that they can grab something off of a tree to eat. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about deer that walk on their hind legs like a human does. Most of the people who have encountered this are driving on a road at night through a remote area and they see a deer and they're like, oh, I need to slow down. There's a deer and it might jump out in front of me. And then the closer they get to it, the more things that they start to see are wrong with it. And everyone describes this feeling of dread, like they know something is wrong. The reason they're called knot deer is because you know that's a deer, but it doesn't look like a deer. The best way I can describe it is if you are looking at something that you know has always looked like a certain thing, but there's just something off about it and you can't place it. Now, I haven't heard or seen any stories where this deer has done anything to harm people. It's just seeing something like that and you don't know what it is because it's not natural. So if you're ever out in the woods in the night, make sure you are keeping a lookout for the knot deer.
I don't scare easily, but I'll need a new pair of shorts after this one.
Living in the Appalachian Mountains, my grandma taught me one thing. As soon as that sun goes down, you come inside. You shut those curtains, because if you can see out, then someone or something can see in. And never, ever whistle in the woods. You never know what you'll call. And most importantly, if you hear your name, no, you didn't.
If you have any FM radio or AM radio or any kind of walkie-talkie, we urge you that if you hear static late at night, please respond with the words, Ranger, Ranger. If you do not hear a designated ranger with a badge number respond to you, please ignore, as it is a walker. We do not understand how exactly this is possible, but we can confirm it is indeed a walker.
Rules of the Appalachia. That shit's horrifying. A lot of people do hike the Appalachian Trail, and one of the main things they all know not to do is to hike from dusk to dawn. Don't go into the mountains after dark. There's a marked trail, stay on it. Do not veer off any trail or path. Everything is marked for a reason.
That's a blaze. 2 inches by 6 inches. It's what we follow. They're everywhere. They may be on a bridge, they may be on a tree. They're usually always on trees, but sometimes they're on the ground, on a rock, on a building, on a light post. That's what we follow. This morning, I didn't follow it. I wasn't paying attention.
There's numerous stories where people said they hear a woman or a baby in distress. And a really common belief is that if you hear something calling you right in your vicinity, it's actually really far away. But if you hear something calling you from far away, there's a good chance it's actually standing right next to you. It's not just screams that's a big deal. Whistling seems to be a big deal also. If you hear whistling, you didn't hear whistling. You're not even supposed to whistle. Tap your friend on their shoulder, but don't use their real name. Using real names just gives whatever it is a closer relationship with whoever's name it learns. Don't ever stare off into the forest. You could be looking at one thing in the forest, but there could be 100 things looking back at you. Anything you hear or see is not your business. Keep doing what you were doing and don't pay any attention to it. Some of the most common sightings in these areas are Bigfoot, skinwalkers, cryptids, and there's even been UFO sightings. Not to forget that this whole area is loaded with caverns and caves too. So it's not just the things that are above the ground that you have to worry about. There's even more stuff underground.
It sounds to me like the rules of the Appalachian Mountain is the same rules that we have in Haiti. And of course we have in Haiti, the SWs in Haiti. I don't like to say it because I know that name is very powerful, and sometimes you might have different experiences at nighttime after repeating the name so often, but the rules are the same because they have the whole you didn't hear it type stuff. At nighttime, if you hear something or you hear a name call, just pretend like you did not hear it, and you go to bed early, or at least you go inside very early, like in Haiti. We go to bed or we go inside whenever we start hearing the chickens going on the trees or finding their place, basically. So we wake up with the chickens and we go to sleep with the chickens. And of course, there are places where you are able to go out at nighttime, but especially when you live in the countryside, which is Andeo, you are required to go to sleep or go inside at a certain time because that's when the activity starts happening. So yeah. And if you hear like cats talking, because usually that's what it is, cats are usually talking, or you hear things outside, do not dare open your door. Those doors are closed at a certain time for a reason. So yeah, we kind of sort of have the same similarities. I don't know if you guys can hear a list with me talking. I have my Invisalign on right now. but the rules are very much the same. We have the same kind of stuff going on in Haiti, and we do definitely have the SWs in Haiti as well. So maybe we are all onto something. Maybe we are all experiencing the same thing, because in Haiti it's very much true that there are rules that you have to follow. And when the locals tell you something, believe them, because they're the locals and they've been there for ages. So please, 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 whenever you do visit the Appalachian, I don't know how you say it, because it seems like even people who are from the mountains don't even know how to say it, so I don't want to ruin it, but I know it's the Appalachian. I always say Appalachian Mountain, but maybe it's said in different ways. But the rules still apply. If you do visit those mountains, be very careful. And another thing that I want to mention too, a lot of the places where they tell you that in Haiti are usually in the mountains or in like the what's it called, the countryside. So I would say the rules kind of are still the same because of the area where you're staying. So that's my take on that, guys. I did enjoy all the videos, all of the stories. I hope you did too. Talk to you later. Bye.